Okay, who are you and what does your company do?
So my name is Matt Marcolini. I'm the Chief Human Resources Officer and owner of Rose Roofing and Restoration based here in Northern Virginia.
Awesome. What was recruiting and building your sales team like before working with SRU?
It was quite a few cold reach outs. I started as a technical recruiter, so very good at the smiling and dialing, trying to get people to leave full-time jobs for a crazy 1099 opportunity that'll change their life from a random person they've never met. So hectic, to say the least.
Awesome. Yeah. So was there like a difference in, volume or quality or,
So
time or, yeah, what are
what
some differences?
the biggest difference was that we actually got responses. And it actually worked. We went from just about 5 sales reps in 2021. We started in January 2021 and opened our doors in May.
Mhm.
We broke 7 figures the first year, and then 5x that last year. We had about 4 sales reps in the first year. Started working with you guys in May of last year, and we tripled that on people that stayed, and then retained a good bit of those through the winter, which is our slow time. And we actually made the decision to bring the folks that stayed, showed improved as honest full-time employees, to be leaders of the organization, as you recommend, in SRU.
Awesome. Yeah. So you were, you said something about 3x or 5xing last year, something like that. So yeah, what are those details and how is kind of recruiting attributed to that with us?
Yeah, so we 5x our revenue year over year.
It's awesome.
And that was specifically because we had triple the amount of sales reps. So we actually saw an outsized return from the amount of sales reps to the amount of revenue. It's a tough business, right? And it's a lot of walking, a lot of door knocking. We have at least a 90-day ramp time. So we recruited, we had a lot of folks recruit, and as we worked with our success manager last year to fine tune the process. I had to travel a lot, meeting with investors and stuff. And we fine tuned the process, got it up and running. We were training out of a country club, and we were able to get offices in January of this year. So we're really excited about doing even more than that this year.
Congratulations, man. That's killer. So cool. We're crushing recruiting and that's good. And let's blow it up, right? What else what other kind of value have you gotten from SRU outside of like the recruiting process and pumping the reps in?
Well, you say this in the recruiting foundations course of the SRU 4.0, which I think is really important for people to know. Only a third of the process is getting people in the door. 2/3 of it is getting people to stay, show up the next day, and actually produce, right? And so we're getting people to show up the next day, and actually produce. However, we can do a lot better with it. And I'm really excited for the new content that's coming out to fine tune that process. So we learned a lot last year from the 3.0 series about the expectation agreement, like the sales training, how not to overwhelm people, etc. But the more you do it, the more you listen to the content, right? It's just, there's so much you get out of it because you guys have been doing this and watching companies do this for 10 years now, like you said. It's value. It cuts my learning curve, right? We're a family owned and operated business. My brother-in-law runs sales. My other brother-in-law is our head project manager, right? And my wife runs the company. And so it's just super helpful having somebody who knows what the heck they're talking about. So it's not the blind leading the blind. And we're really smart. We're really effective operators. We've been really successful in other businesses. However, even though we could kind of reason to what we had to do, we didn't have a plan to how to implement it, right? And that's really important. That SRU and the sales retention and training part and everything like that has been really, really helpful for Paul, our head of sales, to implement with the sales teams. The one-on-one meetings are super helpful. I got a ton out of that, as well as kind of moving into how we incentivize and how we comp people and everything like that. We just revamped the comp plan again to make it even better for the sales reps.
Love that. Yeah. Always want to make it better over time, right? Make it better, make recruiting and retention easier over time. And yeah, you've been putting in the work and it's a forever improvement process. So that's really killer. So thanks for sharing all that. Is there like anything maybe unexpected that you've experienced by working with us? And maybe that was just the stuff you went over, but is there anything maybe unexpected that you weren't planning on working with SRU?
So, I think the thing that was probably most unexpected was how much I didn't know. Right. And I don't, that sounds super arrogant, but I'm not
No,
a super
it's a
smart guy,
great,
but
it's a
like
great answer. Yeah.
I know I know what I'm doing with most things. My wife is super smart. My brother-in-law is one of the greatest salespeople I've ever met in my entire
Yeah.
life, right? Um, but what we kind of all collectively realized is that each one of our skill sets, we had to be really self-aware kind of going into the process. And what we learned, I guess the best thing that I can say is what we learned is that what we learned was that we didn't know what we didn't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and that's hugely important with just like human psychology and working with people because we're in it, yeah, because we're building the business, but we're in it to, honestly, at the end of the day, help people thrive, right?
Yeah.
And the workers, the dignity of the worker and like giving people real ownership opportunities, like
Yeah.
is really what this business is about more than anything else.
Yeah.
And that's what we really learned about how to effectively do that in the best way.
Yeah. Love it, man. That's great feedback. Last question. What would you say to somebody considering to work with SRU?
I'd say do it because you're likely not as sophisticated as you think.
I love
And
that.
well, because I just think
Yeah.
there's real truth in it because
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
anybody who goes into business and that's an entrepreneur, right? Like Wharton School of Business, they just did a study on it. They're likely a certain type of personality with a certain type of thought process and
Yeah.
a certain type of confidence level, right?
Yep.
They wouldn't be doing something they weren't sure of themselves. And what I can tell you as somebody who is like that, it's so useful. Like why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah. Love it. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that.
Yeah.